I just kind of cast it as, oh, he's losing his marbles. Had I known, I think I would have handled it better. I think I would have been a much more patient person. I think my father would have felt way less alone.
The moment Marvel Studios announced Ryan Reynolds' departure, it sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Fans were left reeling. How could one of Hollywood's most charismatic and bankable stars be let go so abruptly? In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, loyalty to its leading actors is practically a given. Losing someone of Ryan's stature wasn't just unexpected, it was unprecedented. But behind the scenes, tensions had been brewing for quite some time. And when new revelations surfaced, what some insiders simply called the receipts, everything changed. The catalyst? Filmmaker Justin Baldoni, a central figure in a long-brewing conflict involving none other than Ryan's wife, Blake Lively. Suddenly, what many assumed was just a behind-the-scenes dispute took a dramatic turn, putting Ryan's future with Marvel in jeopardy. For months, rumors swirled about friction between Ryan and Marvel executives. But the whispers turned into deafening speculation after controversy erupted around a highly anticipated film project, one directed and co-written by Justin himself. At first, most believed the drama was confined to creative disagreements between Justin and Blake. Clashes over artistic vision, power struggles, and behind-the-scenes tensions seemed par for the course in Hollywood. But Marvel's decision to cut ties with Ryan suggested something far more significant. His involvement in the turmoil ran deeper than anyone had imagined. To properly comprehend the depth of this catastrophe, we need to rewind to where it all began. Justin Baldoni has extensively earned his spurs designing films that resonate emotionally with audiences. Therefore, when he was given the task of bringing a famous book to the screen, the expectations were sky high. And with Blake Lively lined up for another prominent role, excitement was palpable. At first, this potent combination looked too good to be true. Justin's unrivaled storytelling and Barry's unprecedented star appeal promised a real treat. Teasers made it even more appetizing by presenting a highly inspirational and tear-jerking film. Within the walls of the film set, all was not amicable. Rumors surfaced that Blake was getting increasingly vexed by Justin's overly controlling approach to the arts. He was not just doing the directing. His hands were on the script, producing, and he was even playing the lead in the film. That was not mattering the tension such a combination was generating, and that heat quickly escalated outside the walls of the film set, leading to unanticipated turns of events.
I'm honored, and I'm also more honored that because, what we're talking about is so important and so meaningful, that we're able to have this much anticipation and so many people want to go see it and are talking about it. That's what I'm grateful for.
And you had a key part in bringing it to the big screen. How did this all come to be?
Well, in 2019, I read the book. I was sent the book by my book agent and friend at the time, and I was looking for films that could inspire, that were commercially viable, but also could really reach in and touch somebody's heart.
Hollywood is no stranger to behind-the-scenes drama, but this particular feud spiraled out of control at an alarming pace. What started as whispers of tension on set quickly snowballed into a full-blown controversy. At the heart of it was the growing belief that Blake felt sidelined, convinced that Justin was monopolizing the spotlight. At first, industry insiders brushed it off as the usual creative friction, something that would fade once the cameras stopped rolling. But then, the narrative took a dramatic turn. Blake came forward with accusations that Justin was actively working against her, painting her in a negative light through calculated leaks to the press. According to her, these stories depicted her as difficult, temperamental, and unreasonably demanding. Given Hollywood's history, where male directors have often been accused of undermining female leads, many were quick to rally behind her. Social media exploded with support, and suddenly, Justin was being cast as an overbearing force, stifling a talented actress who just wanted her voice heard. But then came the twist no one saw coming. Justin's team released a series of text messages that completely flipped the script. These messages didn't just challenge Blake's claims, they shattered them. The text revealed that Blake had been making her own demands behind the scenes, flexing her influence, and even referencing her powerful connections, including her husband, Ryan. She didn't just mention him in passing. She referred to Ryan and his circle as dragons, alluding to the kind of industry clout she could summon whenever necessary. These revelations painted a starkly different picture, one where Blake wasn't the underdog but a key player shaping the narrative, influencing decisions, and ensuring things played out in her favor. And then there was Ryan. His involvement remained a mystery for a while. Did he know what was going on, or was Blake invoking his name unbeknownst to him? Such talk occupied the fans, while Ryan himself kept silent and maintained his usual persona of wit and charm. That silence didn't last for long. Other evidence emerged, this time tying Ryan even more directly to events in the shadows. Messages suggested strategic phone calls, carefully planned leaks aimed at discrediting Justin, and even suggestions on how to frame Blake as the unscathed victim. This was a face of Ryan that the public hadn't yet seen before, not just as a supportive husband, but as an active participant in a high-stakes Hollywood power play. The revelations were stunning for the fans. Was this, as usual, yet another case of creative differences gone bad? Or was it something bigger? The orchestrated attempt to control the story from day one.
I mean, I internalized that as opportunity. We had such a responsibility to this audience to deliver something and to have the opportunity to deliver something for a passionate group of people.
Yes.
As someone who is so deeply passionate myself, I was so excited about that. I would so much rather have that than people who are indifferent.
Blasé.
For some time, the entire discussion centered on the fiery confrontation between Justin and Blake, leaving Ryan's role almost forgotten. But then, surprise, Justin went on to spell it out. He had a complete set of unquestionable evidence, time-stamped messages, digital exchanges, and receipts tight and clean, so ironclad they couldn't even be hoisted off as mere speculation or distortion by the media. And what did these receipts present? Not just Blake's mere disgruntlement. Shockingly, they showed that while Ryan was aware of some smear tactics, he may well have been directing them. That alleged plan: change the world news, portray Justin as indifferent or dismissive, and let public opinion align behind Blake's side of the story. Sources say that when murmurs of Justin's upcoming exposé began to surface, Marvel executives slipped into full-blown crisis mode. Ryan wasn't just another actor. He was the keystone of Marvel's future endeavors. His likable, funny thing was closely intertwined with his on-screen persona, making him one of the most commercially viable performers in the studio roster. But if he was caught engaging in behind-the-scenes manipulation, especially tactics that undermined a respected filmmaker, Marvel knew they had a serious problem on their hands. The stakes were massive. Marvel depends on maintaining strong, controversy-free relationships with its lead actors, particularly those who play beloved characters. If they continued backing Ryan despite compelling evidence of unethical behavior, it wouldn't just upset fans, it could cause tension among cast members, disrupt future collaborations, and even damage the studio's reputation. And then, the day everything changed, Marvel's top brass gathered behind closed doors, reviewing Justin's receipts in detail. Though the specifics weren't immediately made public, insiders described the revelations as damning. The messages reportedly confirmed Ryan's direct involvement, proving that he had coordinated with Blake to influence press coverage and manipulate public sentiment against Justin. But that wasn't all. There were hints that this wasn't an isolated incident. Allegations surfaced suggesting that Ryan and Blake had leveraged their industry connections before, possibly to gain personal or professional advantages. That was the breaking point. In a move that blindsided everyone, Marvel made an unprecedented decision. They cut ties with Ryan. The official statement was short but sharp. Marvel cited a review of newly disclosed information and concluded that Ryan's role with the studio was no longer viable. The language was striking. Marvel usually treads carefully with PR, opting for upbeat updates or vague corporate phrasing. But this statement, it was serious, final, and then chaos erupted. Social media burst with shock, bewilderment, and endless speculation. How did one of Hollywood's most adored stars, known for his keen wit and seemingly immaculate reputation, end up being dumped by the very studio that had once championed him? Fans wanted answers, but amidst the frenzy, Justin stayed poised. He didn't gloat. He didn't take public digs at Ryan or Blake. Instead, he methodically disclosed further records, supporting the timetable of events. His message was clear. This wasn't about personal revenge. It was about safeguarding his integrity and ensuring that the folks behind the scenes, the ones who poured their blood, sweat, and tears into these initiatives, weren't twisted or silenced. And just like that, Hollywood's latest scandal had altered the rules of the game.
She said, just read it, because I was looking for movies that could
be commercial and speak to the human experience. And
Were you
maybe-
reading romance novels?
And I had never read a romance novel.
Never?
And she said, just trust me, read it. So I read it, and by the end of the book, I couldn't even read the text on the page because I was crying so much. My wife was in bed next to me, and she's, I got snot coming out of my nose.
Justin didn't hold back. The leaked messages unequivocally said there was a conspiracy to ruin him, both personally and professionally. And for him, the message had always been the same. The conflicts should have been settled in open and honest conversations, not through clandestine backdoor machinations, with the intention of manipulating the media. At that point, all eyes turned toward Blake. In an acute twist, her own attorney severed ties with her quite suddenly, citing along the lines of irreconcilable differences with her version of events. And with this abrupt fallout, greater questions arose. Did she struggle to make Ryan intervene, or were both behind it from the very start? Wild speculation ran rampant. Was the marriage really as strong as it appeared? Or was this partnership one of convenience rather than love, one meant to enable them to tightly control their public image? One thing was glaringly apparent. This was now about Blake's unreasonable demand for more control of the creative process. The leaked messages showed a far wiser initiative on his part, one that sought to paint Justin as perhaps incompetent, pig-headed, or uncooperative. But the raw, unfiltered conversations told a very different story. And then, silence. Usually an inveterate jokester at diffusing the controversies, Ryan chose not to say anything. His social media was dead. No clarifications, no witty repartee. Instead, he did posts simply promoting things that kept the Marvel fallout off from anyone's eye. For the fans, this was completely out of character. Ryan has done smaller scandals before. Usually, he would come out with a grin or a well-placed joke that meant all things worked out well. But this time, he knew the whole version. With Marvel having cut the cord, the consequence could just have blown up in his face. Those close to him said that he was in full-blown crisis management mode, behind the scenes trying to repair his public persona. And make no mistake, Marvel's decision sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Studios keep a close eye on how industry giants handle controversy, especially when it involves A-list talent. For Marvel to fire someone of Ryan's stature, that meant the evidence wasn't just bad, it was damning. It was also a warning. Being a superstar doesn't make you untouchable. If your actions threaten the integrity or the public image of a billion-dollar franchise, no amount of box office appeal can protect you. As the dust settled, Hollywood found itself split into two camps. Some argued Marvel had overreacted. Couldn't this have been handled with some well-crafted PR spin? Carefully worded apologies? After all, Ryan was a major box office draw, but others believed that this was long overdue. If Ryan had truly conspired to manipulate the narrative and sabotage a respected director, that wasn't just unprofessional, it was calculated. And for too long, industry power couples had been pulling strings behind the scenes without consequence. Some insiders even admitted, off the record, that they were relieved. If Marvel, arguably the biggest juggernaut in entertainment, was willing to take a stand, maybe it would set a precedent. Maybe it would force Hollywood to rethink how much influence A-listers should really have behind the curtain. For Justin, it wasn't about revenge. He made it clear. His goal was never to take people down. It was about exposing the hidden power plays that threatened his creative vision. And now, with the truth out in the open, the question remained, what would happen next?
It's believing that people and humanity are inherently good. And they crave nutritious food in their soul, just as they do in their bodies.
Marvel's ultimatum for Ryan created a furor. Was it the unfortunate conclusion of a creative collaboration or a necessary measure for restoring balance? For many behind the scenes, including production assistants and camera operators, it was something of a relief. They had witnessed firsthand when minor disagreements escalated into big-seeming arguments, later getting out as sensationalized rumors. With the new evidence at hand, it was ever more difficult to continue brushing aside the notion that something more orchestrated was at work. However, Blake, usually an open book on social media, went suddenly quiet. The regular stream of family-focused posts was gone, amplifying speculation that she and Ryan were battling to regain control of the situation. Some insiders shared she felt betrayed by the fact that Marvel let Ryan go, as if a strong betrayal had occurred to her. Others claimed that Blake was steadfast in her resolve that Justin had blow up just to spin it to his own advantage. But As time went by and more receipts came out, Blake's attempts to brand Justin as the villain started to seem increasingly unconvincing. Fans who had once defended her began to reconsider, understanding that the situation was not as straightforward as they had initially believed it. The media, of course, dissected every angle. Talk shows debated whether Ryan could salvage his career or if his once bulletproof comedic brand had suffered irreversible damage. Analysts pointed out the irony. Marvel, a studio known for fostering tight-knit relationships with its stars, now found itself in an uncomfortably public fallout. Some speculated that Ryan could stage a classic Hollywood comeback, a redemption arc that audiences love. Others, however, weren't so sure. The sheer scale of the controversy, amplified by relentless media coverage, made a swift return unlikely. Behind closed doors, studios faced a dilemma. Many projects had been in development, banking on Ryan's mass appeal. Now, executives hesitated. Would moving forward with those projects entangle them in the ongoing scandal? Worse, could more damaging revelations emerge? While Hollywood thrives on reinvention, a period of strategic distance seemed inevitable. Industry veterans compared Ryan's situation to past stars who had experienced dramatic career downturns. But there was a key difference. His signature humor had always made him seem approachable, free of malice. Now, leaked emails give an entirely different picture, one of manipulation behind the scenes with the aim of discrediting a respected director. It was hard for fans to marry the endearing, self-deprecating comedian they loved with the man at the epicenter of this tempest. Justin, meanwhile, kept his head focused on the film. He did not position himself as a victim or hero. He allowed the proper conclusions to be drawn from the evidence itself in the court of public opinion. His crew members, loyal to him, admired his calm and stiff resolve. In the middle of this tempest, he continued the negotiations, which reminded everybody that, after all, it is for art and not drama.
And being frank, if it were not for women giving me direct feedback in my own personal life and being a man who was willing to at least listen to them, there's no chance that I would be having this conversation. So the message, to answer your question, the message is very simple. As men, we need to embrace all of the parts of us that make us human. That's it.
It is.
It's very simple.
With Marvel making an official move, the message was loud and clear. This wasn't just another industry shakeup, it was a statement. The big question now, who steps in to replace Ryan? Recasting a well-loved actor mid-franchise is no small feat. When an actor is so deeply tied to a role, audiences form attachments, and swapping them out can be a major gamble. Marvel had high hopes for Ryan, with rumors suggesting he was set to play a pivotal role in the franchise's long-term future. But now all those plans, scrapped. And with that, a costly dilemma emerged: either overhaul entire projects or risk massive fan backlash. Historically, audiences don't react well to major casting changes, especially when they happen abruptly. Still, Marvel made it clear, there was no turning back. This wasn't just about business, this was about principle. When trust between a studio and its star shatters to this extent, pushing forward can create bigger headaches in the long run. Ironically, while the controversy swirled, Justin's adaptation of the film continued progressing, though under an unavoidable media storm. The more fans learned about the behind-the-scenes fallout, the more curiosity grew. Could this drama, in some twisted way, actually boost ticket sales? Some skeptics believe the controversy might work in Marvel's favor, drumming up even more attention. But for Justin, the real success wasn't in capitalizing on the headlines. It was in staying true to his creative vision. Despite the chaos, he refused to let the film's marketing revolve around Ryan's downfall. No gimmicks, no cheap PR stunts, just the work speaking for itself. But what about Ryan? What's next for him? Will he issue a full-fledged apology, claiming some of the allegations were exaggerated or taken out of context? Or will he attempt a carefully crafted comeback, hoping to mend fences with Marvel? Or is this one of those career-defining moments where no amount of spin can undo the damage? Given how decisively Marvel cut ties, the latter seems most likely. The studio rarely handles these issues in such a public, definitive way. Typically, they resolve conflicts behind closed doors. The fact that they went this far suggests one thing: there was no salvaging this relationship. Meanwhile, Justin has remained composed. Instead of celebrating Ryan's downfall, he's maintained a quiet, steady stance. This entire situation, messy as it was, served as a reminder of just how vital honesty and collaboration are in an industry that thrives on hidden negotiations and carefully crafted public relations. Even if Justin never intended for things to escalate this far, his approach set a precedent. In a world of selective narratives, sometimes the full story is the most powerful weapon. And if there's one undeniable lesson here, it's this. No matter how likable, how funny, how seemingly untouchable a celebrity appears, no one is immune when real evidence emerges. Ryan's velvety, larger-than-life personality has become the proverbial darling of fans and executives alike. And what exactly was going on? There were complexities. And in Hollywood, the gap between image quotient and reality may stretch widely. As the above backdrop of Ryan's catastrophic fall from grace continues to unfurl, the entire industry is reevaluating the power dynamics of influence, loyalty, and ideas of celebrity in every aspect, even behind the curtain. And so, closing for now the chapter of Ryan's slow, unceremonious exit from a studio he once called home. New developments are bound to unfold whispers of legal battles, clandestine meetings, and the possibility of backtrack rebranding, whatever the fallout as a misunderstanding. But regardless of what transpires, one thing is certain. In a world where every message, every email, every digital trace is fully fleshed out, the truth is where no one escapes. When Marvel calls that truth too toxic to be overlooked, it can opt for a snap and nasty to pack up.